Yes, a very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. We thank you so much for following all our programs and welcome to this week's edition of UBC One-on-One with Michael Jordan Lukomwa. We discuss variety, like I always say, and this particular evening we're going to talk about a profession. One of those not rare, almost in every institution these guys are there, but we want to know what they exactly do and how do they do it. Anyway, we also need to motivate the young people that are in school to get to know about this profession and what does it take to become part of them. These are accountants. I have one of them. He is CPA Ronald Mutumba. He is a member of the Uganda Institute of Public Accountants and is also a managing partner of Mutumba Mukobe and Associates Certified Public Accountants. Sir, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Yes.
It's a pleasure being with you.
How is everything?
Oh, all is well.
We hear of these people and we work them even here at UBC. But who is an accountant?
Thank you, Michael. An accountant, in the case of Uganda, has been defined by the Accountants Act. So it's a matter of the law. An accountant is a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda.
A member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants
of Uganda.
That is an accountant.
That's an accountant.
How about our colleagues that we were with at university and this is what they studied?
Those are not accountants.
Really?
The best we can say of them is they are on their journey to becoming accountants. They have the opportunity to become an accountant.
So an accountant is a member of that institution?
Yes, an accountant is a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants.
Why is it that way?
It's a definition we have in the Accountants Act. Accountants in Uganda is regulated. We have got an Accountants Act passed by Parliament. It's a statutory instrument and it's supported by accountants regulations. And in there we have got the definition. An accountant shall be a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants.
Why do they call them public accountants? What's the relevance of the word public in your profession?
Oh, well, by and large, we serve in the public interests.
Okay.
Yeah, we execute our services by and large in the public interests. Yeah. One of the key services we offer is, for example, statutory audits. When we do a statutory audit, we are verifying financial statements issued by the management of a company. But those statements are going to be consumed by the general public. So the decision making of the general public is going to be dependent on the opinions that we have done, what we have taken. Okay. So it's important that we be defined and described as those who can offer services in the public interest.
Okay. So how relevant is the education bit? Because I think somebody goes to Makerere or any university and sits there for, is it 3 or 4 years? 4 good years. Plus his senior 6, senior 4, P7 and all that. How come membership alone is what defines him as an accountant and not the education that he or she got?
Actually, to become a member of the institute is a mix of education and practical experience tools. And the education journey is not only your secondary school or university education. We also have our professional exams. By the way, you have a choice. After secondary school, a student can go straight to pursue the journey of our professional exams. Immediately after S6, all that it requires that at their O level, they must have a credit in math and a credit in English. In other words, they must have literacy, numerical literacy, and ability to express themselves in English. In the case of Uganda, it's our main mode of communication.
Public language.
Yes. And as long as you have that and 2 principal passes at your HSC, you can start the journey. Alternatively, if you have pursued a university degree, you can still apply. You will get a few exemptions based on the degree you pursued, but then take on our professional exams. So the first stage on the journey to membership is professional certification. Then you also have to prove that you have got the professional experience that it takes, which is usually about 3 years. So you see, we are producing a product, or we are products that have got a mix of skill you attain at school or through training and that you attain from practice.
You talked about my brother in senior 6 that can just join and do the exams. How do you do exams of something you have not studied?
Well, the choice is you choose how you study. You can go to tuition centers or you can even do self-study. What the institute does through the Public Accountants Examination Board is to set exams periodically, and you have a choice. The syllabus is public information. When you register to become a student, you'll be given the syllabus and you choose which papers to sit when. So you define your journey based on your time and ability.
So somebody can just go from senior 6 and joins?
Yeah.
How far can that person go in terms of professionalizing?
You're not any different from he who first went to the university. At the end of the day, it's once you're out there, you're going to be regulated. Your ability to serve without bringing the institute into, the profession into disrepute, following the regulations and the standards and the client's needs. So the profession is not all about the academic qualifications.
So how relevant are they then? Why do people sweat in university, carry books and read day and night?
Very relevant, because the training of an accountant is broad. We cover a wide range of the regulatory environment. The laws that govern businesses, you become, you've got to have a very good in-depth knowledge of the laws. The regulations that regulate accounting, financial reporting, auditing, all that you've got to get the training in it.
How would you describe this kind of profession to those young people watching you on TV? How good is it to be an accountant?
Environment. My experience,
yes,
my about 20-year experience as an accountant is it's a calling. It is a calling, it is a vocation. The level of commitment you have to it is how much you will get to enjoy it. And it provides. I'll tell you, for the case of Uganda, as of today, the need for accountants far exceeds the availability of accountants.
How and why?
Yeah. Well, the profession is nascent in the country. The local version of professional accountancy has been around for only 30 years. This Institute of Certified Public Accountants is celebrating 30 years this year. So we have not yet been able to churn out as a profession enough professionals. Secondly, it is one of those professions where you have a choice to choose either to employ yourself or to go into employment. And believe me, the self-employment journey is also another interesting one for the young ones. When you still have the energy and you have the passion, be sure every assignment you get is a very good learning experience. It will take you miles.
Now, you talked of self-employment or being hired. What is the difference? Break that down for somebody to understand. What do you do? How do you employ yourself to account what?
When you get into employment, your employer decides what your role will be. Are you going to be the chief accountant? Are you going to be the senior accountant? Are you going to be the treasurer of the company? Are you going to be the chief finance officer? So your role will be defined within the organizational structure of that entity. When you choose to go self-employment, you have two choices. To get a certificate of practice, a practicing certificate, to offer a wide range of services. You can be a tax advisor, you can be a management accountant, you can be an insolvency practitioner.
Okay.
There's a wide range of services you can offer as a professional. Yeah. If you go the direction of offering what we offer called assurance services, typical assurance services is auditing entities. Then you will have to have a firm, an organization of either as a sole proprietor or with colleagues, a partnership that will offer those services. So you are in business of offering professional services. You are self-employed.
You said there is more demand for the accountants than the number of accountants themselves.
Yeah, sure.
We know a number of them that do not have any job. Many of them have graduated, but they're not employed anywhere.
The decision to get into the job market is amongst various factors, two-way. One, what is it at a personal level you are seeking for in life? Are you willing to take on some risks? Some of us are not made for high risk levels. To go into self-employment is risk, because there's no guarantee that that next client will be there as and when you need the money from them. So many of our colleagues who are not in employment, I'm not only talking accountants, most professional services, is because they are looking for formal employment. But there's a limit how many placements can be there in an organization. True. You can't all be CFOs. The organization can only take on one CFO. So you'll find there is a gap. There's an asymmetric gap. Where the need mostly exists is what I call self-employment, where you come in to offer your services. But also in the formal employment, we have another interesting item. The need for the accountants is there, but it is being filled by non-accountants. So we need our colleagues to prove themselves and fill those roles.
You said you are tax advisors, company. Break down those roles that you people play.
For starters, we offer audit and assurance services. That is, we can do statutory audits, we can do forensic audits, we can do management audits. All those is to audit for you and see statutory, to give an opinion whether the financial statements reflect a true and fair view of the books of accounts. Forensic, to support the organization in investigations. Management audits, to help you understand your control environment and the relevance of your management skill and style to the organization. We can also be tax advisors. We are schooled and trained in interpreting the tax law and administration. We can also be your insolvency practitioners. Accountants are a key resource in supporting businesses that are seeking remedies in times of business failure. Companies faced with financial distress. In Uganda, that is regulated by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau. And typical areas is companies that want to do voluntary winding up, those that are having challenges with their creditors and would like to renegotiate with the creditors on how to revive the business, or those where the creditors are taking the company into receivership. So we offer a wide range of supports to the business enterprises.
The things you explained that you do would be the measures that would be saving our businesses to thrive. But we have records of Ugandan businesses, a good percentage do not make it to their first birthday. So what goes wrong? And one would put it the wrong way, that how useful are you guys?
Nice one, Michael. I'll say to you, this is my personal mantra. Behind every successful business, there's an accountant. We will help you understand your business. During its life, if you listen to your accountants, they will help you understand your numbers. And numbers don't lie. Numbers will help you predict the direction you're going. They will help you sense danger and how to mitigate that danger. During the life of the business, we'll also help you forecast what the opportunities that are available can give to us. So that is a key area. 3, we provide very important support in the form of risk management, supporting you to understand the entity, to understand its risks and what needs to be done to manage those risks. If you can't profile your risks, then you're living very dangerously. But if you profile them, then you can find solutions.
Okay. Yeah. So the challenge is runners of different institutions not listening to your advice. That's where problems come in.
That can be one of the problems. Yeah. Typically, business is risk. Business is risk. Such, you have heard the story of Nokia. Where did we go wrong? So it could be other factors. Yeah. But still, getting the accountant to help you understand your numbers is critical in saving your business.
You said one can be employed to work for an institution.
Right.
Like we have a whole department here in UBC.
Right.
And you said others can start their own firms.
You're right.
As an employer or as an entrepreneur. Actually, let me put it that way. What would be best for an entrepreneur? Hire accountants or an accountant as my worker, or hire a firm to do it for some time, what would be the best thing?
Okay, let's first separate two things. There are those roles for which you must hire a firm. For example, the statutory audit.
Okay.
That one you need an independent auditor. But if we put that aside, and now the decision is for those services that can either be outsourced or you recruit. Again, a key item is what works best for the stage of growth of the organization.
Okay.
If it is a young organization, it might be safer for you to outsource, hire an external firm to give you the accountancy services. It helps you manage the costs, because every time you hire, you have fixed costs. Whether the services are being consumed or they're not being consumed, you must incur the cost. However, as you grow bigger, you find that the consumption of the services is ongoing, it's every day. So retaining an external firm might be more expensive for you. Then also the issue of control. When you hire, you've got more control over the time and availability of the resource.
Okay.
When you outsource, the service is offered to you on demand. So again, it is you, the entrepreneur, understand your business needs. Seek guidance still. A professional will seek the professional guidance. A professional will advise you at which stage you are, whether you should outsource or use internal resources.
Genuinely, if he's an entrepreneur with his own company, like you, will you say no to a business opportunity as long as you see someone's business cannot yet afford?
I have a duty to the client. Our code of ethics regulates me. I should do it in your best interests and for the public good.
To an accountant like yourself, what would be the best thing to do? Going into the private line or being hired as an individual, as an employee? What would be the best thing?
This is a matter of personality.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a matter of personality. Some of us, because I've been in the employment journey before, some of us, you find that later on in life you get more fulfillment by going out there, yeah, and trying it out on your own. Others find more fulfillment by climbing the corporate ladder, gradually even out of mainstream accounting, because we have so many colleagues who are at the helm now of corporate entities. If you looked around, especially in the financial sector, you find the ultimate goal is CEO or end up in the board. So it's again a personality choice. What drives you?
Most of the professions we have here, some people go there, mama yeyabinkaka. My mother wanted me to be an accountant. How do you look at that?
It's very unfortunate. For a profession, the last thing you should ever do is because you were asked to get into the profession. Because then you can neither serve,
you cannot even
to your
feel
satisfaction,
it at any one moment.
Neither can you serve the client to their satisfaction. Yeah. So if mama pushed you and you had no choice but to complete, on completion I would suggest you can park that career lane and join a new lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are mainly in charge of finance in the different systems where you are hired, be it on the individual employee purpose or even when you're hired as entities.
Right.
Am I wrong to say you're responsible for failure of different entities?
I would definitely find it very difficult to agree with you.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you're the people, you realize that heads of finance are always accountants. If an institution goes on to crumble and it collapses, especially due to financial related issues, who is to blame? Who do we go for?
I'll just take you back a minute. I hope we're on the same page when we say an accountant is the member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda. In the case of Uganda, at least I don't have any evidence that there's any organization that has gone to the tatters or collapsed because of the dubious activities of a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and therefore an accountant.
Really?
Yeah. If there are any, it's those who suggest that they are accountants, but at least they are not on the roll of membership for the institute to which I belong to, the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda.
How would you advise somebody, an entrepreneur with a business, in as far as managing his account business is concerned? Somebody wants to open a very big factory at the early stages. What advice would you give in terms of him getting the services of your profession?
When you hire a professional, the first reference point should usually be the professional body. For example, if you're looking to hire a CFO and you want a CFO who is a member, who is an accountant, check on the website of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda. It's public information. There's a list of members.
Okay.
You go in there, or even write to the institute that we have 3 candidates and these are their CVs. Please confirm if they are members. If you are looking for the services of an accounting firm, same story. Get onto the website. If you have been approached by Mutumba Mukobe and Associates, for example, certified public accountants, get onto the website. Check for the audit firms that are on there. Confirm that Mutumba Mukobe and Associates is registered with the institute.
And licensed.
Yeah, and licensed.
If you go your way looking for qualifications from the university,
you have gone to the wrong place.
Yes, you're the people that handle money matters in companies and public organizations. Let me start in a general outlook. What causes mismanagement of finances in organizations? For us, we think it's you people. We have even seen people boarding blue pickups to Chitalia, Luzira, or wherever because of these cases. And when you read the papers, for us who deal in stories, when you look at the story, it is the chief accountant has been before court. Because what does it have to do? What is wrong with your integrity as a profession?
There are 3 issues in your concerns. I'll start with the one for integrity.
Okay.
Again, it goes back to the definition of an accountant, being a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. What's the importance of this? As a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants, me, Ronald Mutumba, I will have willingly decided to be regulated by that institute. It means in my practice, in everything I do, I will abide by our code of ethics. I will make sure that integrity is part of the key pillars within which I deliver my services.
So what happens to those colleagues of yours
now
that fail on that line?
That is the second aspect. Those that you call our colleagues, I'm not certain whether we are colleagues.
Really?
Holding the title of chief accountant does not make you an accountant.
Can a whole ministry hire a one Davis Kamukama as accountant, as chief accountant? He goes through the ranks to head the accounts of the ministry when he's not a member of, which is legal, when he doesn't have a legal document like that?
Again, 2 aspects of that concern. Who is hired for which position in government is the Ministry of Public Service. It's a call for the Minister of Public Service who holds what rank. However, the Accountants Act has defined one key element, that any accounting officer, any head of finance, shall be a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And I'm very, very certain that the Ministry of Finance, hand in hand with the Accountants General's office, is ensuring that every office that should be held by a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda is indeed held by a member. Now, the cases that you mentioned that have brought the profession into disrepute, a key question is, are they members? At least all those that have been in the press in the recent past, over the last 15 or so years, none of them is a member of the institute or was a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda.
But working for government, working for a big ministry, working for a public agency?
Well, working in government and being the senior principal accounting assistant accountant does not make you an accountant. That's a matter of the law.
No, what I mean, you mean these entities, agencies, can hire people that lack a very pivotal qualification like that?
For some roles, the employer, in this case the government, is entirely up to them who holds what position. The only position that must be held by a member of the institute has been clearly provided for in the Accountants Act. So those who you prefer to refer to as colleagues, in my case they are not colleagues, are not members of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And therefore, their journey onto the buses to Luzira is a matter between them and their employers and the state of Yes.
But as a professional in money matters, what do you think happens in what for us we know as misallocation, corruption? What do you think would be the details of the drama that happens within agencies and companies and money gets to go missing?
There is something that is critical for businesses. The success of a business is dependent on 3 key items.
Okay.
1, systems. What systems do you have in place? 2, monitoring system. The controls to monitor that the system actually works. And 3, the people. If you have the right system, the right controls, but the wrong people, that business is going to go haywires. If you have the right people, right systems, but no control environment, that business will go berserk. So it's a combination of the 3. So where do we come in as accountants? For areas that need our expertise, please employ the services of an accountant. Why? Not only do we have the technical expertise, but we also have a training that ensures that we owe you a duty of care to see to it that the service we give you is what you need.
What does the Institute do in areas where we find at least one of your colleagues tempted? Let me put it that way. In areas where we find them tempted and are involved in the drama of money missing, what measures does the Institute take on to discipline these people?
We have an in-house disciplinary mechanism. The Institute's governance structure is at the top. We have got a governing council and we have got a secretariat. Now the governing council works through its committees of council. And some of the committees are statutory committees, and one of them is the disciplinary committee. So any member of the Institute who brings the profession into disrepute will be taken care of by our disciplinary mechanism, which is the disciplinary committee.
Okay.
The disciplinary committee is independent of the secretariat, and some of its members are not even members of the profession, to ensure objectivity in the interest of both the public, the complainant, and the person who has been brought to defend themselves. And anyone who is found to have done wrong, the disciplinary committee will definitely do the
Go for them.
Yes.
What I want to know is what they do to them. Do they take you to prison? Do they scrap your academic qualifications? Do they cancel your membership entirely? What is done to you?
There's a wide range. There's a wide range of, to use the word, punishments that can be meted out. Now, for us, the accountants, the worst you would want to have is being pushed out of employment, because suspension of my practicing certificate, for me, it means I cannot offer my services.
Yes.
The worst case scenario is being deregistered from membership. No one wants that to happen. So internally, those are some of the key measures. But then also taking on to working with the police and the state to bring criminal proceedings against you is still within the wisdom of the disciplinary committee. Yes, we do.
How relevant is an accountant at a time when things are tight like they are now? Some people are closing their businesses.
When I was young, when time would get for us to go back to school, there's something my old man used to do. Would ask us, each of us, for a list of all the requirements.
Yes.
Then having got all the list down, gives you an amount of money that most times could not even cater for even 30% of what you're calling out for. Then if you try to get into negotiating, he would say, have you heard of the word budgeting? Budgeting is why you can't have everything there. resources will always be scarce. Why do I tell you that? Now is the time to appreciate that wisdom. You can't have everything all the time. It is at this time when you need our services to work with you, to know what are your priorities. Objectively, what should be the priorities of the nation if we are talking at the macro level? Even at the micro level, what should be our priorities for the business? What should we spend money on? What risks should we take on? That is where our numerical literacy comes in very handy. Because the numerical literacy will help you understand what the numbers are telling you. Not only your numbers, but the numbers in the macro environment. For example, is this the time to invest in transport when the fixed costs of going transport are very high? So this is that time where you actually need to be very careful with each and every penny and number.
You only go for what is crucial and very important.
This is the time where we should only go for that which drives value, that which generates the value that we are in need of.
How would an accountant help a company to avoid corrupt tendencies? A company or an institution. How would an accountant help to avoid corrupt tendencies in the economic system, in the financial system of an institution?
It comes down to corruption is a matter of the value system, the values within the organization. It comes down to that. Because corruption is a matter of the individual. Because having the legislative regime or the policies, I mean, almost every organization will find there is a policy of zero tolerance
for corruption.
Corruption.
But still, things happen.
Things happen because of the value system of individuals. My expectation is anyone who is a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, the training we have had is to give us to appreciate the importance of that value system embedded in our code of ethics. So to the entrepreneurs, let the starting point be by employing to the extent possible, not only for accountants, but for any role that requires a professional. Employ a professional who is regulated. Because there is a value system that dictates how they behave.
How about in government agencies?
Same applies with government. Let's have those that are regulated, those that are trained for particular roles, to be employed to offer the services that that role requires.
How do you relate with legal practitioners in day-to-day management of your services in an organization?
The services the legal practitioner offers, many of them are different from the services I will offer as an accountant.
Where do you connect?
Where we connect is many times the legal practitioners, in representing their clients in court, will need the services of accountants. Just like many times also the accountant, especially those of us in private practice, in representing our clients in service delivery, sometimes we need to take our expertise to court, but we need the representation of a lawyer. Otherwise, by and large, the land friends, their profession is about the law.
What's the difference between an auditor and an accountant?
An auditor should be an accountant. Anyone who is intent on offering auditing services must have registered with the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda.
So do you only get the difference in the roles played?
It's basically a difference in the roles played.
The other guys come in to see what you, who is a direct accountant in an organization, do.
I'll give an example, if we put it this way. I'll speak for Mutuba Mukobe and Associates, Certified Public Accountants. We offer, like I told you, a range of services.
Yes.
We are auditors, we are tax agents, we are insolvency practitioners. So when we come to offer you auditing services, we have come as auditors. When we come to offer you tax advisory services, we have come as tax advisors. But we still remain.
You are the same people?
We are still the same people.
With two jackets?
We have 2 jackets or more than 2 jackets.
You only put on the one for accounting to go do accounting?
To go and offer accounting.
You put on the one of auditing to go for auditing services.
To go and offer auditing services.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you so much. Now, let me come to Mutumba Mukobe and Company and Associates. How do you find the terrain of the business as a company?
Yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough many times, but that's part of the training. Yeah, the economy has been sluggish of recent. Many businesses are struggling,
Yes.
and the ripple down effect comes down to us also. But then again, we're an important aspect of the economy. The statutory audits must still go on. Yeah, so the service delivery is a little bit slower in the economy, but we must still come in and offer our services. Yeah, so the terrain is a little bit tough. Yeah, but there's only a limit on how far rock bottom you can hit.
Okay.
I think as an economy we have not yet hit rock bottom, and
There is still hope of stabilizing.
There's still hope of stabilizing.
You said people hire Quack accountants. I've not come to that. Why do you think business people, employers, including government, like you said, end up with Quack accountants? How do our people get to find themselves in a situation where they cannot differentiate between Mutumba Ronald, a real account, and Davis Kamukama, a journalist who is masquerading as an accountant?
Part of it is not knowing what to do. There are those whose expectation is that anyone who can deal with the numbers can be your accountant. But then we also have a bigger ailment in our environment, in our economy, of cutting corners.
Okay.
Where you go on with referrals. Oh, so-and-so did this for me. A friend tells you, so-and-so did this for me. You try that.
Can I connect you to him?
Can I connect you to him? And many times you end up with the quacks, especially for those entrepreneurs who are trying to manage their costs, going for cheap services.
Yes.
Be on the lookout for cheap services. Cheap in the short run is very expensive in the long run. So the right thing to do when seeking the services of an accountant, yeah, is, if it's a professional outsourced service provider, ask them for their license, ask them for their certificate of practice, ask them for their membership details. If it's an employee, when as part of the recruitment criteria, ask them to bring a recommendation from the institute confirming their membership, although their membership is also public information.
How would you rate the rate of embracement of real accounting services in Uganda, the Uganda's business sector?
It has greatly improved over the last 30 years also.
Okay.
At least for the time when I registered to be a student of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda way back in 1997, who was an accountant was little known. Yeah? And by the time some of us qualified, still the numbers, you'd struggle to explain yourself away, what it meant to be an accountant, what it meant to be a CPA. But today, I mean, out there, who a CPA is or who an accountant is easily recognizable. And I am proud to say that in most organizations that I've interacted with, at least I see the presence of colleagues placed in the right places.
Okay.
So the traction is greatly improving. The 30 years are making sense of our relevance.
Where do you see the future? A country or a community where people have not yet embraced the service to its core in entirety. What do I mean? If you still have big organizations hiring Quack people and things like that, bosses who do not listen to their accountants and have their companies collapse, things like that, where do you see the future?
The future is bright. Our institutional partners, the regulators, the ministries, the government agencies, key stakeholders, entities that are of the public interests, the banks, insurance companies, have embraced the importance of hiring certified public accountants. And if that spirit continues, where the ultimate client, that corporate body, is insisting on a CPA, the future will continue to be bright.
Okay.
At least I can confidently say that a good number of the successful entities in our environment are being driven by CPAs. Yeah? So the future is definitely bright.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Mutumba. You said you pay membership for 1 year and again license. Practicing.
You're asking about our fees?
Exactly.
Our fees, there are two criteria. After, I'll not talk about the students, I'll talk about after you have qualified. You choose to apply for membership. When you are admitted for membership, every year you'll pay membership fees.
Yes.
You will subscribe, which is 500,000 shillings.
Wow.
To date. Plus it's a token contribution to the institute's development. If you choose to go into
500,000
for the whole 12 months, this is the price of being part of that credible body. It's value.
Okay.
If you choose to go into service provision by having an accountancy firm, you've got to pay for your practicing certificate, and you'll also have to pay for the licenses for the firm. Currently, the price practicing certificate is about 1 million shillings per annum only. And for the firm's license, it's about 500,000 shillings.
So an accountant that does not own a firm pays 500,000 as a member?
Pays 500,000 shillings as a member.
And 1 million shilling for the practicing certificate?
No, it doesn't need to pay the money for the practicing certificate.
Oh, okay.
Right.
We thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What would be your message to a young man in university studying to become an accountant?
It is very important to choose a career that will drive you and provide for you all through your life. Pursuing a professional career is one of those journeys that rarely lets you down. But with accounting, not everyone was born to be an accountant. Yeah. That is one thing. When you come that direction, you must have passion and you must have commitment.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.